spatula, a whisk, measuring spoons, a zester. You don't absolutely need a zester, but I really like it. Measuring cups, a small bowl, a bigger bowl. I'm going to be using this to broil the seitan, but if you want to just put it out on the grill, you can do that too. Vital wheat gluten, chickpea or garbanzo bean flour, garlic powder, liquid smoke, ginger, a little bit of OJ. I usually make seitan with vegetable or tomato juice, but I'm going to be using OJ for this because it has more of an Asian feel to it. Pepper, nutritional yeast, water, tamari, oil. I found it absolutely needs just a little bit of oil or it just doesn't work as well. Hello darlings, Ladiva here. I'm just checking the recipe for my basic seitan. This is a recipe I'm trying to make for like the guys in my life for Father's Day so that they will have something we can broil up and serve with other guy type foods. And I've been really working on it to make it perfect. You can change the spices for it. You may want to put in, red peppers and a little bit of tomato juice and things like that if you're going to be using it for like a quote-unquote American barbecue, but don't change the amount of wheat gluten and everything else that goes in. Those proportions are pretty clear, and the directions on how to make this are pretty clear. And the water that you're simmering in, you can throw all kinds of stuff in there, and it really doesn't matter. So let's get started. Disclaimer. Okay, this takes all day, but you don't have to sit with it all day. There's a couple things you do have to do, and the rest of it is really pretty simple. So just so you know, the first thing you should realize is that this is a gluten-filled dish. So if you have to be gluten-free, sorry, this one is not for you. There. Nutritional yeast, chickpea flour. Now you can use white pepper or you can use black pepper. Garlic powder. Now I whisk this together, the ginger. So I'm going to zest the ginger in. And I'm just going to peel away some of the skin. There we go. Now I'm going to zest it into my seitan. Some OJ. This is tamari. Liquid smoke. Also some oil. You know that I use very little oil, and I find that it just doesn't work the same without it. And water. Now whisk this together. Add the wet to the dry. Mix these together. Now you want to knead it, and it should be a little damp, but not damp enough to stick to your fingers. I would even suggest, instead of putting all the water in once, put the water in a step at a time to make sure that you have a nice dry dough. Look, honey bunnies, I can't tell you how important it is that you knead this dough, because you want all of those little strands to be formed. Otherwise you'll end up with mushy stuff. So you have to knead it. It also is really helpful if you're having a bad day, because then you can really knead that dough and knead that dough, and it's helpful for anger management. Now notice I'm picking it up, pushing it down, picking it up, pushing it down. That's how you knead. And I go around the bowl just to pick up any added flour that happens to be hanging around. All right, darlings, you take your fabulous little dough, put it in here. I'm going to put in water and tamari, ginger, and some cloves. Well, I'm just going to seal this up, mash it around a little bit. I'm going to put it in this. I'm going to put it in my refrigerator and let it sit for 20 minutes. And then it'll be ready to simmer. All right, darlings. The 20 minutes is done, and now I'm going to simmer it. So I'm going to pour in the juice and dump in the seitan dough. Now I'm going to snip this. I want to use this on kind of like for shish kebab. So I'm just going to cut some big pieces, and just to get it into a little bit better format for myself. And then I'm going to make sure that everything is fairly covered with a liquid. This is some seitan juice that I saved from last time. All right, so now I've got the liquid in there, and now it's starting to boil a little bit. Now I'm going to turn it down to simmer, and I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to let it simmer for 30 minutes. All right, darlings, now I put in the bigger pot because I needed a bigger pot. It was growing. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I took it off the stove and then I just put it in a refrigerator and let it sit overnight because I didn't want to futz it with it. I was kind of done with cooking for the day. And that makes these pieces a lot firmer. I pulled out a couple of them that were like this big, or this one that was like this big. So I cut it in half. Okay, so let's get to putting that on the skewers and getting it in the broiler. All right, so let's turn on the broiler. Oh, baby, get so hot that you start to broil on high. You know, push the button. So now I'm going to take these pieces and I'm just going to put them on my skewers. I'm going to put a little space. Now you can do this as a whole shish kebab thing, but I'm just going to put this on because I want to make this more like an appetizer. I don't have to add any oil to them. They're strong and firm, so that's really groovy. Now I'm going to put these on my broiling pan that I made. All right, darlings, now I'm going to put these into the broiler. They are 2 or 3 inches away from the flame, just so you know. All right, darlings, now I'm going to flip them over. Yep, they're starting to brown up. Oh, hi. Marty Davy here. Seitan. Seitan is not the healthiest food in the entire world. It's got a lot of protein in it, which is not a bad plan. However, it's very processed. But if you're going to be having it on a holiday barbecue weekend or something, that's not that big of a deal. I just wouldn't have it every day. And I would watch the sodium content of the liquid that you're simmering it in, because sometimes that can end up being pretty high. And if you're putting it with a barbecue sauce, the sodium can actually go through the roof. So just be careful. All right, darlings. I'm gonna try this. I'm really glad I didn't make this sauce very salty because this has just enough salt in it. I really liked our green peppers with it. Really yummy. So I just want you to know that this is used as a meat substitute, but nobody in the right mind is going to think this is chicken, okay? Except if you're going to get it from a commercial manufacturer. But it's really good and it's yummy and has that kind of chewiness that I like. Yummy. And it's perfect for the grill.